Wired for Love by Stan Tatkin. Picture this. Ginny and Bradley are that college couple everyone envies. They're madly in love, finishing each other's sentences, the whole deal. But there's this one thing that keeps tearing them apart, and it always happens at parties. Bradley's a social butterfly. He invites Jenny, they walk in together, and then he vanishes into a crowd of old friends. She's left standing alone, scanning the room for a familiar face, feeling like she might as well be invisible. Later, in the car, the storm hits. "You did it again!" Her voice trembles with anger and hurt. "You just left me there like I'm nobody to you." Bradley's completely caught off guard. He fires back, defensive and frustrated. "Are we really doing this again? You're making a huge deal out of nothing. I didn't abandon you." Same fight, different party, over and over, like a song stuck on repeat. Each time, they walk away feeling more misunderstood, more hurt, and a little further apart. Here's the wild part. What if these fights have almost nothing to do with parties, or social skills, or whether someone's being selfish? What if they're not even a sign that love is dying? What if these painful, repetitive arguments are actually the result of an ancient alarm system buried deep in your brain? A system that wasn't designed for love at all, but for survival. A system with one ruthless priority: don't get killed. Today we're diving into a fascinating book that reveals what's really happening inside our brains when we're in relationships. It's called Wired for Love, written by therapist and researcher Dr. Stan Tatkin. This isn't your typical relationship advice book filled with communication tips and date night ideas. It goes way deeper than that. Think of it as an owner's manual for the human heart, backed by cutting-edge brain science. Dr. Tatkin developed something called a psychobiological approach to couple therapy. Sounds complicated, right? But the idea is beautifully simple. When you understand how your brain and your partner's brain actually work, you can stop fighting against your own biology and start working with it. By the time we're done, you'll understand exactly why couples like Ginny and Bradley get trapped in these painful cycles. You'll learn about the battle happening inside your own mind between the reactive primitives and the wise ambassadors. And most importantly, you'll discover how to create what Dr. Tatkin calls a couple bubble, a safe, sacred space where two people can feel protected, cherished, and truly at home with each other. This isn't just about having fewer fights. It's about building a relationship that can actually heal old wounds and make you happier and healthier than you could ever be on your own. Let's start with a truth that might feel a bit unsettling. From a biological standpoint, your brain's main goal isn't to make you happy in your relationship. Its number one priority, which it's been perfecting for millions of years, is keeping you alive. It's basically a survival machine with one brutal strategy: shoot first, ask questions later. Think about it this way. If you're walking on train tracks and you hear a train barreling toward you, your brain doesn't pause to wonder where the train's headed or analyze the conductor's intentions. It screams, "Danger!" and you jump. That instinct has kept humanity going for millennia. But here's where it gets tricky. That same life-saving system can't tell the difference between a speeding train and a slight change in your partner's tone of voice. It detects a potential threat and reacts instantly, automatically. This is why so much relationship conflict exists. We're wired, first and foremost, for war. Dr. Tatkin gives us a brilliant way to visualize this internal struggle. He says we have two competing teams in our brain: the primitives and the ambassadors. The primitives are the ancient reactive parts of your brain. Think of them as your internal security guards, always on high alert and lightning fast. They operate completely outside your conscious control, and their sole job is to detect danger and react immediately. This team includes structures like the amygdala, two almond-shaped alarm centers constantly scanning your environment for threats. They're not subtle at all. A harsh word, a dismissive glance, an eye roll. To the amygdala, these might as well be physical attacks, and they sound the alarm. Once that alarm goes off, the chain reaction begins. The hypothalamus, acting like a drill sergeant rallies the troops. It floods your body with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart pounds, your muscles tense, your face flushes. Within seconds, you're physically prepared to fight, flee, or freeze. This is the moment when a simple disagreement suddenly feels like a battle for your life. The loving, rational parts of your brain get shoved aside, and it becomes all-out war. This is exactly what happens to another couple, Franklin and Leah. They're driving to dinner when Leah, frustrated about Franklin's reluctance to propose, suddenly turns off the music and says, "Can we talk?" For Franklin's primitives, that sequence, the sudden silence, the loaded question, registers as a massive threat. His body stiffens instantly. He's preparing for battle before she's even said what's on her mind. Leah's primitives, meanwhile, pick up on his subtle exhale and tense posture, and her body goes into defense mode too. What follows is a classic destructive fight, full of accusations, defensiveness, and distorted memories, all driven by their hijacked brains. They're no longer partners. In that moment, they're enemies. But thankfully, that's only part of the story. We also have another team in our brain, the ambassadors. These are the more evolved, social, civilized parts of our mind. They're your internal diplomats. They're calm, thoughtful, and their primary mission is to foster connection, peace, and understanding. The leader of the ambassadors is the orbitofrontal cortex. Think of it as the wise, empathetic elder who can communicate with both the primitives and the other ambassadors. It's the part of you that can step into your partner's shoes and see things from their perspective. It's the voice that says, "Hold on, they're not attacking me, they're hurting." The ambassadors have other key players too. There's the smart vagus nerve, which can calm your entire system with a single slow exhale. There's the hippocampus, which helps you remember things accurately so you don't get lost in the distorted reality of a heated argument. And there are the right and left hemispheres of your brain, working together to read nonverbal cues, understand language, and communicate with both warmth and logic. In a secure, loving relationship, the ambassadors are in charge. They keep the primitives calm and steer the couple toward connection instead of conflict. So the central challenge of any long-term relationship becomes this: how do you keep your wise ambassadors in the driver's seat and prevent your reactive primitives from hijacking the whole operation? The answer begins not in the present, but deep in our past, because the balance of power between our primitives and ambassadors isn't the same for everyone. It's shaped by our earliest experiences, creating a blueprint for how we relate to others for the rest of our lives. This is where Dr. Tatkin introduces another set of powerful metaphors. He says that based on our early wiring, we tend to operate as one of three types: an anchor, an island, or a wave. Let's start with the anchor. Anchors are people who grew up feeling fundamentally secure. Their parents or caregivers were generally tuned in and responsive. When they were upset, someone was there to comfort them. They learned at a deep, biological level that relationships are safe harbors. As adults, anchors are comfortable with intimacy. They don't fear commitment, and they handle both closeness and time apart with relative ease. When conflicts arise, they don't panic. They trust that they can work through it and that the relationship will survive. Take Mary and Pierce, who are both anchors. When they face a tough decision, like how to care for Pierce's aging mother, they approach it as a team. They listen to each other's feelings, validate concerns, and collaborate on a solution that works for both of them. Their unspoken motto is, "We can handle this together." But not everyone develops this way. Some of us become islands. An island is someone whose early needs for connection were often met with unresponsiveness or dismissal. They learned very early on that the safest person to rely on is themselves. As adults, islands are independent, self-sufficient, and often very successful professionally. But in relationships, they struggle with closeness. Intimacy feels intrusive, like a threat to their autonomy. Their unspoken motto is, "I want you in the house, just not in my room, unless I invite you in." Gianna is a classic island. She loves her husband Carlos, but she needs lots of personal space. When she's on a work deadline and he interrupts her, she reacts with sharp anger. To him, it feels like rejection. To her, it feels like he's trying to control her. She doesn't realize that her intense need for solitude isn't just a preference. It's a deep adaptation to a childhood where she was often left to figure things out on her own. Then there's the wave. A wave is someone who experienced inconsistent caregiving as a child. Sometimes their caregiver was available and loving, but other times they were preoccupied, anxious, or dismissive. This creates deep confusion about relationships. Waves crave intimacy desperately, but they're also terrified of abandonment or rejection. This leads to a push-pull dynamic. They rush toward their partner, seeking reassurance, then quickly pull back, anticipating disappointment. Their unspoken motto is, "I can't do it with you or without you." Jaden is a wave. He misses his wife Kaylee intensely during the day and can't wait to connect when he gets home. But the moment he walks through the door, a wave of anger and anxiety crashes over him. He perceives her as distant, even when she's not, and he picks a fight to test her love, to get a reaction, to feel something. He's so afraid of being rejected that he pushes her away first, creating the very distance he fears most. Hearing about these styles might feel discouraging, like you're locked into a pattern you can't escape, but this is exactly where Dr. Tatkin's message becomes hopeful. He says that no matter how you were wired as a child, you and your partner have the power to create a new, secure environment for your relationship right now. He calls this environment the couple bubble. The couple bubble is a sacred space that two partners build together. It's a cocoon, a sanctuary that protects them from the chaos of the outside world and from their own reactive primitives. It's an agreement, spoken or unspoken, to put the well-being of the relationship first, above being right, above what other people think, above individual needs in any given moment. The guiding principle of the couple bubble is simple but radical. We come first. Think back to Jenny and Bradley, the couple fighting at parties. They operate on a model of independence. You do your thing, I'll do mine. But this only works until one of them feels neglected, and then the whole system collapses. Now consider Greta and Bram. Bram feels awkward and uncomfortable at large social gatherings. Greta, who's very social, knows this about him. So before they go to a gala, they make a plan. She tells him, "The moment you want to leave, we're out of there." She asks him to stay close to her, not because she needs protection, but because she knows it will make him feel needed and secure. She's not just thinking about herself, she's thinking about them. They're operating inside a couple bubble. It's a model of partnership based on the deep understanding that they're in each other's care. This bubble is held together by a set of unspoken guarantees. Things like, "I will never purposely frighten you. When you're upset, I will comfort you, even if I'm the one who upset you. And crucially, you will always hear important news from me first, not from someone else." Building and maintaining this bubble isn't magic. It requires skill. It requires both partners to become genuine experts on one another, to create detailed owner's manuals for each other's hearts and minds. This starts with knowing your partner's core vulnerabilities, what Dr. Tatkin calls the 3 or 4 things that make your partner feel bad. These are usually wounds from childhood that we carry with us. Maybe it's a fear of abandonment, sensitivity to criticism, or feeling controlled. An expert partner doesn't just avoid these triggers, they know how to spot when one's been activated and how to provide immediate relief. Paul and Barbara have mastered this. Barbara was abandoned by her father as a child, and she carries a deep fear of loss. One night, driving home from a dinner party, Paul notices she's unusually quiet. Someone at dinner had been talking about their aging parents. Paul doesn't need to ask what's wrong. He knows her vulnerabilities. He gently takes her hand and says, "You're thinking about your mother, aren't you?" In that moment, he enters her world, soothes her pain, and reinforces the safety of their bubble. Just as important as knowing vulnerabilities is knowing the antidotes, the 3 or 4 things that make your partner feel good. These are the specific words or actions that can uplift, soothe, and heal. This isn't about generic compliments. It's about scratching the exact itch. If your partner is an island who secretly feels unintelligent, telling them they're beautiful might not land. But saying, "You're so smart, I learned so much from you," could light them up from the inside out. This is how partners become indispensable to each other. They provide the missing pieces of self-worth that we can sometimes only receive from another person. The couple bubble is also sustained by daily rituals of connection. Dr. Tatkin calls these launchings and landings. How you separate in the morning and how you reunite at night are critically important. Many busy couples, like Noah and Isabella, drift into separate schedules. They go to bed at different times and wake up alone. Without realizing it, they're sending subtle signals of abandonment to each other's primitives every single day. Secure couples, like Rebecca and Vince, make a conscious effort to launch each other into the day and land together at night. They might share coffee in the morning, or lie in bed for a few minutes before sleep, just gazing into each other's eyes. They also practice what Dr. Tatkin calls the welcome home ritual. When one person comes home, they greet each other before anyone else, before the kids, before the pets. They hold each other until they both feel the tension of the day release. It's a small act, but it powerfully reinforces the message. You and I, we are home. This is our safe place. Inside this bubble, partners agree to be each other's primary go-to person. This is the 24/7 agreement. It means your partner has a hotline to you, anytime, anywhere. It's the assurance that you're not alone in the world. Islands and waves often struggle with this. They tend to spread their secrets and struggles among many different people, because making one person their primary confidant feels too risky. But in a secure bubble, partners understand that full transparency creates safety. They adopt an "I will tell you everything" policy, which eliminates jealousy and suspicion and builds a foundation of unshakable trust. Of course, even the strongest bubble will be tested by the outside world. Dr. Tatkin refers to anything that competes for a couple's attention as a third. This can be in-laws, children, work, hobbies, or even addictions. The key isn't to eliminate thirds, but to learn how to include them without making your partner feel like a third wheel. When Suzanne and Klaus deal with her father, Suzanne often sides with her dad, leaving Klaus feeling marginalized and devalued. She breaks the bubble by forming an alliance with a third. In contrast, Perry and Londa approach difficult family gatherings as a team. They plan ahead, sit together, and use secret signals to check in with each other. They present a united front, protecting their bubble and making it clear to everyone, including themselves, that they're each other's number one priority. This brings us to one of the most surprising and powerful ideas in the book: learning to fight well. Dr. Tatkin argues that a successful relationship isn't one without conflict. It's one where partners have mastered the art of fighting. A good fight, he says, actually strengthens the couple bubble. Fighting well means keeping the ambassadors in charge. It means waving the flag of friendliness early and often. A smile, a soft tone, a reassuring touch. It means recognizing when you've descended into what he calls the blah 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 of a primitive-led argument, where you're just recycling old complaints, and having the wisdom to stop. Most importantly, it means fighting to find a solution where both partners win. This isn't about compromise where everyone ends up slightly miserable. It's about creative negotiation. Remember Donna, who wants her husband Sean to go to her boring work party. Instead of guilting him or giving in resentfully, they negotiate a deal. He agrees to go, and in return he gets to see the action movie he wants, and she'll give him a back rub when they get home. It's playful, respectful, and ensures both of them feel good about the outcome. Nobody loses. And this leads us to the heart of it all, the ultimate way to keep your ambassadors online and your love alive. Dr. Tatkin reminds us of a simple truth. Lust happens at a distance, but love happens up close. When we first meet someone, our primitives are running the show. From across the room, our far vision system sizes them up for survival and reproductive potential. It's exciting, but it's distant. But real love, the deep, secure connection we all crave, happens in close proximity. It happens when our near senses, touch, smell, and especially close-up vision, are engaged. It happens through the eyes. When you gaze into your partner's eyes from about 2 feet away, you're witnessing the live, real-time activity of their nervous system. You can see their soul. You see the subtle shifts of emotion, the flicker of life that is uniquely them. In that close-up space, it's impossible to hold on to a static, boring idea of who your partner is. You're reminded of their beautiful complexity, their endless capacity to surprise you. This is how you rekindle love, not just once, but over and over again, for a lifetime. You meet each other again, as if for the first time. And this brings us to the final, profound promise of this book. A relationship built on these principles doesn't just make you happier, it can literally heal you. Scientists talk about something called allostatic load. It's the cumulative wear and tear that stress puts on your body over a lifetime. An insecure, threatening relationship is a source of chronic stress. It increases your allostatic load and makes you more vulnerable to illnesses like heart disease, diabetes, and autoimmune disorders. But a secure couple bubble does the opposite. It becomes a sanctuary that lowers your allostatic load. Your partner becomes your most effective antidepressant and your most powerful anti-anxiety agent. The simple act of a long hug, the feeling of being held, the safety of knowing someone has your back, these things have measurable positive effects on your biology. They regulate your nervous system, boost your immune system, and promote healing. In the end, Dr. Tatkin's message is this: we are hurt by people, but we can only be healed by people. By learning to understand our own wiring and our partners, by making a conscious choice to put our relationship first, and by building a safe and loving bubble together, we don't just create a better partnership. We create a happier, healthier, and more deeply satisfying life. We learn to be wired for love. As we step back and reflect on Wired for Love, what really strikes me is the sheer power and elegance of its core metaphors. The couple bubble, the primitives versus ambassadors, the anchor, island, and wave. These aren't just clever labels. They're incredibly practical tools for understanding the complex dance of relationships. They give us language for things we've all felt but couldn't quite name. The most revolutionary idea in this book, I think, is how it shifts the conversation away from blame. For so long, when relationships struggled, we looked for a villain. We'd say, he's too selfish, or she's too needy. Dr. Tatkin gently pushes all that aside and says, look deeper, look at the biology. He shows us that so much of our conflict isn't the result of character flaws, but of ancient, automatic survival instincts kicking in. Your partner isn't trying to hurt you. Their primitives are trying to protect them from a perceived threat. Seeing it this way changes everything. It replaces anger with compassion and judgment with curiosity. This book is a profound reminder that a great relationship isn't something you find. It's something you consciously and deliberately build. It requires skill, effort, and a willingness to become a true student of another human being. It's not about finding a perfect person who never pushes your buttons. It's about creating a partnership so secure that when your buttons do get pushed, you both know how to soothe the hurt and come back to each other stronger than before. So how can you start applying these powerful ideas right now, today? Here are 3 simple actions you can take. First, have a conversation with your partner about the 3 relationship styles. Gently and without judgment, ask each other, do we tend to be an anchor, an island, or a wave? Just having this shared language is the first step. It allows you to say, I think my island is showing up right now, instead of just shutting down. It's a shortcut to understanding. Second, create one small ritual of connection. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. Start with the welcome home ritual. The next time you or your partner walks in the door, make it a point to stop everything else for just 30 seconds. Put down your phone, turn away from the screen, and greet each other with a real hug and sustained eye contact. Feel the stress of the day melt away in that brief moment of reconnection. It's a tiny investment with an enormous return. And third, the next time you feel a disagreement starting to heat up, be the one to wave the flag of friendliness. Before the primitives take over, just pause. Take a deep breath. That's your smart vagus kicking in. And say something that reinforces your team dynamic. Something as simple as, "Hey, I can feel us starting to get into a bad place. Let's remember we're on the same side." That single act can be the difference between a destructive war and a productive conversation. That was a summary of Wired for Love by Stan Tatkin. We've journeyed through the core ideas today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary can only ever be a map. The real treasure is found when you travel the terrain yourself. The magic of a book like this happens in the quiet moments of reading, when a particular story or simple phrase connects with your own life in a way you didn't expect. This summary is designed to help you decide if this book is worth your time and attention. If anything we've talked about has sparked a sense of hope or curiosity in you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning new information. It's an experience that can genuinely change the way you see yourself, your partner, and the beautiful, challenging, and rewarding work of building a life together. Also, if you found this summary valuable and it gave you a new perspective, please do me a small favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It lets me know we're on the right track and ensures you won't miss our next deep dive into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep growing together.